As members of the House of Representatives, Rumsfeld co-sponsored the act, and as Congressman, Ford voted for it. But when Richard Nixon was sent scuttling from the White House in disgrace after the secrets of Watergate came spilling out, Rumsfeld and Cheney wanted no more embarrassing revelations about their party's abuse of power. And they were assisted in their arguments by yet another rising star, Antonin Scalia, then a top lawyer at the Justice Department. Fast forward to 2001, when in the early months of George W. Bush's administration, Vice President Cheney invited the tycoons of oil, gas, and coal to the White House to divide up the spoils of victory. They had, after all, contributed millions of dollars to the cause, and as Cheney would later say of tax cuts for the fraternity of elites who had financed the campaign, they deserved their payoff. But to keep the plunder from disgusting the public, the identities of the participants in the meeting were kept secret. The Sierra Club and the conservative Judicial Watch filed suit to open this insider trading to public scrutiny. But after losing in the lower court, the White House asked the Supreme Court to intervene. Lo and behold, hardly had Justice Scalia returned from a duck hunting trip with the Vice President, the blind leading the blind to the blind. Then the Supreme Court upheld the White House. Mr. Moyers, if you would like to sue me for plagiarizing your speech, go right ahead, because I need the publicity. Lo and behold, hardly had Justice Scalia returned from a duck hunting trip with the Vice President, the blind leading the blind to the blind, then the Supreme Court upheld the White House privilege to keep secret the names of those corporate predators who came to slice the pie. Can you detect a subtle hint of hostility in Mr. Moyers, whose speech I am reading, which is found on the site gwu.edu, George Washington University, gwu.edu/squiggly line. I'm going to put the link in the description of this video. National Archives, National Security Archives, Anniversary, Moyers. He gave a speech because he and his friends gathered to celebrate all they had accomplished over the past 20 years or more. But after losing in the lower court, the White House asked the Supreme Court to intervene. Lo and behold, hardly had Justice Scalia returned from a duck hunting trip with the Vice President, the blind leading the blind to the blind, then the Supreme Court upheld the White House privilege to keep secret the names of those corporate predators who came to slice the pie. You have to wonder if sitting there in the marsh, shotguns in hand, Scalia and Cheney reminisced about their collaboration many years earlier when, as young men in government, they had tried to shoot down the dreaded Freedom of Information Act that kept them looking over their shoulders. Congress, by the way, overrode President Ford's veto. They have much to fear from the Freedom of Information Act. Just a few days ago, FOIA was used to force the Department of Justice to make available legal documents related to Supreme Court nominee Judge Alito's record. It's no surprise that the White House doesn't want reporters roaming the halls of justice. The Washington Post reports that 2 years ago, 6 Justice Department attorneys and 2 analysts wrote a memo stating unequivocally that the Texas congressional redistricting plan concocted by Tom DeLay, Tom DeLay, Tom DeLay, Tom DeLay. For emphasis, I'd like to repeat the name Tom DeLay. The plan concocted by Tom DeLay violated the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act. These career professional civil servants, these career professional civil servants were overruled by Bush appointees who went ahead and approved the plan anyway. What do you expect? We're only finding this out now because someone leaked the memo. Someone leaked the memo. I wonder if it was one of these career professional civil servants. According to the Post, who got a drip from this leak, the document was kept under tight wraps, and lawyers who worked on the case were subjected to the usual gag rule. Why? Why were these lawyers subjected to the gag rule, the usual gag rule? Because it is a devastating account of how DeLay allegedly helped launder corporate money to elect a Texas legislature that then stuffed congressional districts. Ooh, that's a complex plan. I'm going to read that again, because in a devastating account of how DeLay allegedly helped launder corporate money to elect a Texas legislature that then stuffed congressional districts to add 5 new Republican members to the House, nailing down control of Congress for the radical right and their corporate pals. Tom DeLay did all that. Well, at least he's smart. We're only finding this out now because someone leaked the memo. According to the Post, the document was kept under tight wraps, and, quote, lawyers who worked on the case were subjected to the usual gag rule. The lawyers were told that mum's the word. You know, that's often the case. Mum's the word. Mum's the word. Clinton would never have to tell his legal team to keep quiet, because they automatically would keep quiet. But I guess DeLay and Cheney and Scalia and Rumsfeld are so stupid they got to gag the career professional civil servants who leak. The career professional civil servants who cry for justice, but who are overruled by senior officials, which are, of course, Bush's political appointees. All his appointees are political. He doesn't appoint any of them on merit, but only if they're loyal to him. I'd do the same thing. I think Bush is pretty smart. I would appoint people loyal to me. And their first task would be to keep an eye on these career professional civil servant leakers.